Hey everybody, welcome back to In My Head channel, where whatever is in my head ends up in a video. Guess that's a little tagline you could say. I'm your host, Brant. Today I'm going to be joined by Rick from It's All For You Demon to talk about our KISS magazines and show the ones that we feel are essential to a KISS fan. If you collect magazines, some of these, even if you don't collect magazines, I feel like are essential. And we talk about and show some of our personal favorites. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. Let's get right into it.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Boise, Idaho. Don't touch anything!
Before we get started, the typical housekeeping stuff right up front. Welcome back to the current viewers and current subscribers. If you've been with me for a while, welcome back. If you're new viewers, welcome. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, comment down in the comment section, talk about magazines, talk about KISS, talk about whatever. Be sure to subscribe because I'm going to be giving away this Gene Migo doll here once I hit 4,000 subscribers. And thank you to my Patreon subscribers who help support the channel by subscribing over at patreon.com/inmyhead. They receive early releases, behind the scenes information, extended videos, exclusive videos. They get that over there to help support the channel. Their names are scrolling across the screen there. Be sure to check out my TeePublic store there below if you want to help support the channel and get you some In My Head merch. And also be sure to check out my side project I have with Tommy and AJ, Critical KISS, talking about KISS albums. Are they critical and how are they critical? And this month we did Rock and Roll Over. So be sure to check that out as well. A couple little KISS news items. We had a couple that this one was not on my 2025 bingo card. Peter Criss just a few days ago announced that he is releasing a solo album, a rock solo album. And he is going to be working with, it's co-produced by Barry Pointer. He's going to be working with John 5 is on the album. Billy Sheehan's on the album playing bass. Matthew Montgomery is playing bass some. John 5 is playing guitar. Mike McLaughlin is playing guitar. Paul Schaefer is playing Hammond organ and keyboards. And the video I saw was Julian Gill talking about it, and he said he actually heard it and it was a good album and Peter's drums sounds good. I'm floored by this news. This is crazy that Peter Criss is putting out an album in the fall of 2025. Blew my mind. I mean, it blew my mind more than the KISS Storms Vegas thing. Blew my mind. So I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to it. Ace is working on a new album. He's working on his Origins 3, I believe, album. So Peter and Ace. Peter, I'm still just flabbergasted about the whole Peter thing. I'm so excited. Looking forward to it. I can't wait. Other little news. If you hadn't heard about it yet, this is kind of dated, but it's still kind of new. Gene let it slip on the Eddie Trunk show that the 2 box sets are going to be Alive and Dressed to Kill. That's the box sets that's coming out this year. We kind of figured we were going to get Alive probably sometime around September. And now we know that it's Dressed to Kill. It was apparently been in the planning stages long before Pop House thing came out, or the Pop House acquisition, and it is going to be Dressed to Kill coming out. I'm kind of excited about that too as well. And I think that leaves, so that's talking about maybe towards the end of the year, so that leaves 2 off the soundboards to come out. We've already had 1 off the soundboard come out from the Asylum tour from San Antonio. I would like to see, I've been talking to some friends and talking to people, even talked to Rick about it. And I think we may mention it in the video later on because me and Rick filmed this a couple nights ago and I'm filming the beginning. We were talking about what we would like to see, what it could possibly be. And since they're doing kind of era specific, we both talked about how it'd be real cool if they did the Australian Unmasked tour. If that particular show, I think the Sydney show, I think it'd be really cool if they did that. And we also thought it'd be really cool if they did kind of like Revenge. I mean, I know we got a Live 3, but it'd be cool if they did like a Hot in the Shade, more like Revenge, because Hot in the Shade's kind of close to Crazy Nights and just something around that era, something around the Crazy Nights, Hot in the Shade, Revenge era. I think that'd be cool too. So, so that's news. And one last thing before we get into the video with Rick, the OCD Corner. So my obsession this week, I do have something to show, but my obsession this past week has been with Rock and Roll Over. I've been listening to Rock and Roll Over a lot and looking at my Rock and Roll Over vinyl and stuff like that. I show that off in the Critical Kiss video. If you want to go see that, I'll link the description, or down in the description, I'll link to the Critical Kiss page. You can jump over there and check that out. But I've been kind of listening to Rock and Roll Over Extended and just looking at my Rock and Roll Over stuff that I have. So I've been kind of obsessed about that. Been looking at my magazines a lot, going through all the magazines I have and picking out which ones I want to show off and for whatever reason. And another thing that I've been doing is I took some time this week to listen to my vinyl other than Kiss. All my Kiss vinyl's behind me, and all my other vinyl is on a shelf over here. And I've got a bunch of different stuff. I need to kind of go through that in some videos as well, because I know sometimes, I know I'm very largely a Kiss channel, but it's not entirely a Kiss channel. So I just need to go through that. But I was looking through and listening to some of my non-Kiss vinyl, and I found something that I forgot that I'd had. I don't know if I've ever showed this in a video or not, but I found my Village People. This is Live and Sleazy. This came out in 1979 on the Casablanca. It's on the Casablanca label. You can see right there, Filmworks label. And it's got, all the hits on it. Apparently, it's part of it is live. I don't know if part of it's live, part of it's studio. Disclaimer, I've never listened to this. I didn't get the chance to listen to it. But it says side 1, side 2 live, and then side 1, side 2 sleazy. So side 1 is Fire Island, Hot Cop, San Francisco, You've Got Me, In Hollywood, Everybody Is a Star. Side 2 is Macho Man, In the Navy, YMCA. I know those 3 songs. And then sleazy is side 1 is Sleazy. Side Rock and Roll's Back Again. Side 2 is Ready for the 80s. Save Me a Ballad and Save Me Up Tempo. And it's a double album. Opens up. It's got a gatefold. And then that's on the back. What if Dynasty would have been a double album? That'd been cool. Could you imagine Dynasty being a double album and opening up and being that cool poster? Or who knows what Kiss would have done? That's the what ifs. What if Dynasty? Rick, what if Dynasty would have been a double album? I know Rick's the Dynasty guy in our circle. Just what if Dynasty would have been a double album? That'd been cool. Even if it wasn't a double album, if it would have gatefolded open with the one side being sealed, or just had like the merch and the poster and stuff in it, that would have been cool too. So that's all I've got for OCD Corner. I know it's a little lean, but that's all I've got. So this is a long video because me and Rick just started. We got to talking about things. Before we even showed a single magazine, this had been the first time me and Rick had been on a screen together in a very long time. And so it was just like two friends running into each other and getting caught up on what was going on, what's been going on in your life. And except it's ours all centered around Kiss. But then we get into some other stuff that's really cool conversation, and then we get into the magazines. It's all chaptered for you down there. But fair warning on skipping chapters, you never know what you're going to miss. You never know what little tidbit or what little conversation that you're going to miss. So anyway, all of that aside, here's the video, me and Rick. Hope you enjoy. So I've got back with me Mr. Rick of It's All For You Demon fame and the It's All For You Demon channel.
Shame.
For shame. So Rick, how have you been, man? It has been a hot minute since I've had you on a screen with me. How have you been?
Good. How are you? Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, I've been good. I was talking with you just before we started recording how I was looking at my entry or thinking about my entry for the journal. And today's entry is a very interesting one. If you have the Rock and Roll All Night and Journal Every Day journal, if you don't have it, you can get it on Amazon. Just look that up. And but today's entry is very interesting. It's if you could replace Peter Criss on a recording. Well, I'll read it as you said it. If you could hear a reimagined Kiss album featuring Eric Carr drumming on a Peter Criss era album, which album would it be and how would it be different? Describe in detail using each track as an example. And that's going to be fun. I'm going to do that. I hadn't sat down and done it yet. I've been thinking about it all day. And I'm going to do that after. I haven't even really thought about the album yet. Gosh, it'd be maybe.
I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I must have had something in my head when I wrote that, and now I can't even.
You know the one. Well, Peter Criss drumming, because I was getting ready to say Dynasty, but Peter Criss didn't drum on Dynasty except for one track.
I was probably thinking of Larger Than Life.
Oh,
and
yeah.
How that drum sound is so huge. And so I was probably thinking like, what would it have been like if Eric Carr was on the, additional tracks of Alive 2 or Love Gun?
Yeah. Or if he'd have done the solo for, Rocket Ride was technically Anton Fig, not Peter Criss. And then a lot of people say, no, well, I'm wrong. Anton Fig has said that he didn't do Rocket Ride. He said that Peter Criss didn't do it. So could you imagine that in solo if that was Eric? That'd be crazy. Love Gun, it's interesting you said that because that's the first one that my mind shot to. But it would have been interesting to hear what he would have done on Rock and Roll Over, I think. Rock and Roll Over, I think, would have been very interesting.
But it's also interesting because I think of those albums and you think of Peter Criss's like kind of jazzy style, and it's almost that jazzy style is almost needed on those records. Yeah. So it's like I don't know. Peter was such a great drummer in his own right. And then Eric was a great drummer in his own right. So it's just, it's fun to think about, but at the same time, you especially if you're doing track by track, you'll come to tracks and you'll be like, Peter, needs Peter's swing in this,
Yeah.
But Eric had swing too. The Saints and Sinners has that cool.
Yeah, that swing time to it. Yeah, or reverse the question: what Eric Carr era could Peter have played on? The Elder, maybe.
Oh man, can you imagine that?
Could you imagine?
I think the Elder needed Eric though.
Yeah,
definitely needed Eric. I think it would have been interesting to hear Peter on the kind of the metal years of Kiss.
Yeah, because I don't think of Peter as a metal drummer. I think of him as a rock drummer, but Peter Peter was making albums in the 80s. He wasn't making metal albums. So it just wasn't true to him. So yeah, it would have been interesting to hear Hmm. Gosh, it's really hard to say.
Yeah.
I kind of agree with you. I think that you have to maybe look at you have to look at the Live 2 side 4 tracks, um, because I think that that's where Peter was the most rock-ish is
Oh,
on
yeah.
those tracks. Uh,
Especially Larger Than Life. That's
yeah,
just, those drums are amazing.
yeah, that huge Bonham sound that all that, just slap a crap ton of reverb on it. And honestly, it's funny because one thing that I've had a discussion with my son about this one time before when Stephen was doing um, tracks with me. And for those of you who say I talk too much at the beginning of my videos, we are going to get to the albums. Just skip down in the chapters.
Magazines.
Yeah,
Magazines.
the magazines. You skip down in the chapter if you want to. I was talking to my son Stephen one time, and we were talking about um, how good the sound of some of those tracks on a Live 4 sounds, the way the guitars sound, and the way the drums sound, and the vocal sound. And he's like, it's a shame because that is like the last of a true like Kiss album. And I told him, I said, the weird thing about it is, even though Bob Kulick played on some stuff and Ace was kind of non existent in a lot of ways, but Peter was still there and they were still together as a group trying to put an album together. Not really so much with Dynasty, but he made the statement. He goes, it's funny how a lot of bands kind of fall apart when they're at their best.
Yep.
And that really is true. That stuff on the side 4 of Alive, even the cover, Any Way You Want It. I'm not a big fan of Kiss doing cover songs and stuff, but honestly, that Dave Clark 5, Any Way You Want It, is probably one of my favorite covers that kind of Paul pulled like he did with the other covers that he did in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I like all of side 4 of Live 2, every song on it, even Any Way You Want It.
Me too. It is strange to think about that, because when you said your son said that, I was like, that's true. Like, I mean, that is the last of the original 4.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I often, I mean, not to carry this on, but
No.
like, I've always wondered, and I know you wonder this too, like, what would a studio album have been like after that, with
Mm-hmm.
that same sort of fire? And then also, what if Kiss would have returned after the reunion tour back to a Kulick singer era,
Right.
and done a follow-up to Carnival of Souls? What would that have sounded like?
Yeah.
I think that would have been dark and super cool. But here nor there.
After, because Kiss was following, and I agree with you on Alive 2. I wish that Alive 2, I wish what they would have done is they would have done like a 1-2. This is how I've always kind of visioned it in my head, that they did like a 1-2 punch, because you know how they'd release albums like back during that time, they were releasing albums like 6 months apart. I think it would have been really cool if they would have been okay with duplicating some of the tracks that was originally on Alive, and putting things on there that they cut off, like Take Me and Hooligan, and maybe not have some of the songs that they recorded during Soundcheck, like Hard Luck Woman or Tomorrow and Tonight, even though I like those 2 songs on that album. But if they would have made Alive 2 a full live album, a double live album with those 5 tracks being live, and then, but also at the same time that they recorded those, the side 4 tracks, those 5 songs, that they would have recorded another 5 songs, because they had material, because they were going into the Ace had material, because Rocket Ride was originally supposed to be on his solo album. He said that. So they had material going into their solo albums, that they had. Gene had stuff left over from Rock and Roll Over sessions, and Paul had some stuff left over. So what if they would have done something where they immediately, like say 6 months after putting out Alive 2, instead of doing something like double platinum, which I love double platinum, I wouldn't want to take it away, but put out a full studio album and then do the solos, or then have done double platinum and then do the solos, because there was a little bit of space. It kind of started spacing out between double platinum solos, Dynasty. It felt longer because it felt longer as a kid, but time is real weird. It's a time shift as a kid. Like 6 months feels like a year when you're a kid. And some, but summer seems like it only lasts 2 weeks. But I wish they would have put out a full album and it sound like that sound that they had, because I think they finally mastered their sound. And then by the time 79 came along, the sound of the industry had kind of shifted, and Paul himself said he spent a lot of time in Studio 54, and he started wanting to write stuff like disco, and they started that 100 beats per second disco beat. And I just think that it would have been very interesting to imagine an album that would have came out in between Alive 2 and Double Platinum, that could have came out while they were on tour, and for Alive 2. And to your other point that you said, if they would have brought Bruce back in, took the makeup off after the farewell, and brought Eric Singer back in, have Bruce back in, get back to the Carnival Souls Revenge lineup, and shortly after the grunge era kind of came out, kind of fell away, you started having the 90s rock and the 2000s rock that is still popular to this day. I mean, 25 years later, hard rock music has not really changed. It still sounds the same way it did when bands like Nickelback and Creed and Godsmack and Five Finger Death. Could you imagine Kiss doing an album like a Nickelback album or a Creed album or a Five Finger Death Punch album or I can't even think of all the names but that sound when you hear it, that sound, that late 90s, early 2000s bro rock, what they call dad rock. They call it dad rock now. Could you imagine a Kiss album that sounded like that? I mean, a lot of people don't know. I couldn't imagine that. You couldn't imagine an album that sounded like Carnival Souls either. So, but Kiss, when they decided to keep the makeup on, they did the opposite. They tried to throw back to their heyday and making albums that sounded like Rock and Roll Over and those type albums. They kind of threw back.
And I know you and I have talked, off camera before, but like that whole reunion era and then the makeup back on, like it or not, they did what they wanted to do because they became a household name again. And that was the ultimate goal, I think, was to become the entity that was Kiss. And that's what they did.
Yeah, at that point in time, it was... Go ahead.
No, I didn't I can't stand that they still use those icon symbols, but I get it. I understand why they do it. That's their marketing. So it sucks as a fan sometimes because you always wonder what if.
Yeah. I get it. Like the stuff that they just put out for Asylum, everything is non-makeup, and a lot of it is just Gene and Paul because they didn't even bother to get the rights with Eric and Bruce. And then they've got the pics that they're giving out that has the icons with the makeup on it. It's like, why is the makeup relevant now? Why is the makeup relevant with the album that you're putting out that's a non-makeup album? So I get it. I get it.
And those pics I never understood because the Creatures pics are all signature pics and in the box set. And so obviously like you can do that. So why just would have been, I think the pics would have been a lot cooler Gene Paul Bruce
Yeah.
picks, but
Yeah.
we don't run the world.
Yeah. And
We
then
don't run the corporation.
I wish we did. I wish we did. We got some good ideas. And then they released that the box sets are definitely going to be. It got leaked. It got leaked by Gene that the box sets are definitely going to be Dressed to Kill, which was supposedly in planning before the whole Pop House thing, and that the other one's going to be alive too. Of course, it is because it's the 50th anniversary, and those are towards the end of the year. And so, since they also said there was probably going to be 3 off the soundboards, and we've already got 1, and
It's crazy.
And they said so that's possibly 2 more between now and the end of between later on in the year. I know that we got a lot of stuff with Vinny because I don't know how much stuff we'll get with Vinny. We got a bunch of that on Creatures, so it'd be really cool to see what era they're going to go to next, because these off the soundboards are supposed to be, like they said, they're supposed to be era specific. So I'd like to see, I know you would love it, I'd love to see like a Hot in the Shade or a Revenge off the soundboard.
Yeah, definitely Revenge. They were on fire and during the Revenge tour. And I would really, even though I have it on bootleg CD, but I would really love a 1980 Sydney off the soundboard.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that would be great too. That's a great show. The Unmasked tour in Sydney is, they have to, from what I understand, Pop House supposedly has like and I'm not included in it, and I'm pretty sure you're not either. I don't know, you've never said, but they supposedly have like a focus group that Pop House listens to, that are some KISS podcasters or people that are in the KISS community. And
I know the KISS Room.
Mm-hmm.
He's one of them.
Yeah. So maybe there's hope if they're listening to fans. If they're listening to the right fans, telling them the right things, maybe we'll get something like a Sydney, or we will get something like a Revenge, or something, we'll get some of these things. At least we feel like that we're being listened to by the people that own this stuff now. So be really interesting.
One last thing. When it was leaked about the Dressed to Kill and Alive, I'm sure you probably felt this too. Did you think like, that's cool, but it would have been so much cooler to see a Dressed to Kill release on the anniversary?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then it was just kind of like, when I heard it, I was like, well, it would have been cooler a couple weeks ago, It doesn't ring nostalgia like that. It's like I remember when I was a kid, it would be my birthday, and I had a lot of family that lived out of town. I had family that lived in Honolulu. I had family that lived in Georgia, lived in Florida, lived in Texas. And my birthday is around spring break. It falls at different times around Easter, and sometimes because my birthday is April 14th. So it's around Easter-ish, because Easter moves around. And sometimes my family would be in town for Easter for my birthday, and it'd be like, oh, Easter and birthday, or spring break and birthday. And I'd get birthday presents from everybody in my family. And this was back before, like I said, this was when I was a kid, 79, 80, 81, around there. And it wasn't, you just didn't ship packages. You ordered stuff and got packages, but the way we do packages today in the modern era, it wasn't like that back then. And, or if it was, a lot of people in my family didn't use it. So it was the same feeling that I would always get when my birthday would be in like April. And then my family from out of town would like come in town like during the summer, like in June
or something like that, like late May, early June, when everybody was out of school, and the cousins and stuff would come, and the aunts would come in and visit. And here they come in with birthday presents with happy birthday written on it or something like that. And I'm just like, oh, it was cool getting the gift, but it wasn't my birthday. So and I was still appreciative and everything, but it was like, okay, yeah, this is weird. I'm going to, this present says happy birthday on it, and it's June. So I get it. And that's the way I felt too.
And I kind of, shame on Gene, because I don't like hearing about it before. I want to be shocked. I want to get a text from you at 9 a.m. some morning that says, hey, this is on Kiss Online right now. Like, I remember when they released the Live 3, the colored vinyl. It was like everyone was texting, and you like get up and go away from your desk and go down the hall, and you're like, holy shit, I got to buy this. You know, I hate hearing that it's coming out in the fall, because then you're just like, it's cool.
Yeah,
but,
now you
just, I don't know. We're nitpicking. We're nitpicking,
but that's part of the fun of it. I remember one morning I was on my way to work, and it was when we were anticipating. It was either Creatures or it was Destroyer. I think it might have been Destroyer, or it might have been Creatures. But you texted me, and I was going down the road, and my phone went off, and I looked, and you had sent me, and it said Creatures is live, or it might have been Destroyer. It was either Destroyer or Creatures, but it was a box set. And I remember pulling over in the parking lot of a car dealership, a used car dealership, on my way to work, and pulling my phone out and looking and scrolling down through and looking up and looking at what all's on it. And this pictures are too small. So I'm pulling my laptop out of the back seat and getting my laptop out. And I was like 20 minutes late for work because I wanted to see what it was. And that morning when I woke up, I was not expecting it. So I get
it's the surprise. Yeah, it's the surprise.
It's almost like now we've been told we're going to have a surprise party. We just don't know when it is.
Yep.
Exactly. Especially with Dress to Kill, because at least we know when the Alive anniversary is. So I anticipate it being around Alive. But Dress to Kill we don't know when that's going to come. They just said later on in the fall. Well, I figured, now you just sit and you start being deductive, and you're like, Alive comes out at this time. They're not going to put these two releases real close together, especially if they're saying start saving your pennies now, because that means they're either going to be upwards of $250 to $1,000, because that's kind of where the original the Dress to Kill and not Dress to Kill, but where Destroyer and Creatures fell. And I'm hoping they come off some of these, these Daddy Warbucks prices, man, because I mean, I'm glad that I'm going to be on a cruise right around the time that the thing is going on in Vegas, because that released me of the temptation of trying to figure out how I was going to come up with at least $1,000 to go to that thing. And, and you still have to get your plane ticket, and you still have to pay for your food. By the time you get done with that, the average, just the bottom end user, is $2,000 in. Just for one person. So it's just like, man, remember the little people, bring traveling conventions back,
Oh gosh, man, if they would do like a Comic-Con type expo, oh my gosh, I would love that. So
I would too. All right, but so we spun off that by see the magic that this creates. All that conversation spun off of this right here. So definitely pick this up. And also, Rick, happy belated birthday to Pee-wee.
Thank you. And happy belated birthday to you too.
Thank you. I didn't know mine and Pee-wee's birthdays were so close, within like a week of each other. That's awesome.
Well, I'm the 8th. So we're all three.
We're all right there together. I swear we're going to get the magazines, folks. I promise. Me and Rick's just not had a chance to talk like this in a while.
Well, I just had to text my wife if she lets out the dog to check for ducks, because there were a bunch of ducks in the backyard before I hit record.
what was I going to say? My wife, I showed her the post, and I told her, I said, you know what? I like to think that we're good animal owners. We have two dogs, we have a cat. I've not been able to ever get them to make mine. I think my animals think that a phone is a gun. Because if I pull a phone out and point it towards them, they take off like in the other direction.
That's funny.
They do not like I don't know, but I have a golden retriever and a little bitty that weighs 100 pounds. She's a hoss. I have a little bitty miniature Shih Tzu, terrier mix, and I have a cat, beautiful, beautiful cat and gray cat, and they all love each other. They sleep literally laying on top of each other. But and I like to think we're good animal owners with them. They have a good life. And but I told her, I said, man, look at this. I said, look. And she goes, what's that? I said, it's Pee Wee's birthday. I said, she's like, that Rick's dog. I said, yeah, it's Pee Wee's birthday. And she's getting a hamburger. And she goes, yeah, we suck.
They get a McDonald's hamburger every birthday.
Yeah. We give them an extra piece of duck jerky on their birthday.
There you go.
But my dogs eat good. They eat good food. The bag of dog food that we buy costs like $40 a week. Has no fillers and all good stuff. And they won't eat wet food. They like dry food. And they eat duck jerky, which is like $40 a bag, and it lasts them for like a month. That's their treats. They go outside, they do poo-poo, they come inside, they get a duck jerky. So, all right. So let's get into these magazines. I have a stack of magazines here because I don't want to. I'm going to let you go first on whenever we're showing these, because I don't want to duplicate. I want to possibly say, if you show one, I'll be like, yep, man, I have that one too. And I was going to show that one, but you showed that one. So I'm going to show this one instead.
I know there's some that we're going to both say are must-haves.
There's some, there's must-haves. And some of these are for me are must-haves, and some of these are, hey, if you don't have these, it'd be really cool. If you don't have it or you've never seen it, it'd be really cool if you picked it up. And I think everything I've got is not unobtainable. I've seen everything that I've got even recently. So I don't think I've got any unobtainableism things here. So what we're doing, like I said earlier, if you're skipping to this point from the chapter, skipping over me and Rick catching up and talking shop, we're talking about 5 KISS magazines from any era that we think every KISS fan should have in their collection, if collecting magazines is your thing. And then we have one that's kind of like an extra bonus, like a hidden track bonus feature of one that we love just for sentimental value. And so we got that. So Rick, I'm gonna let you start with your first.
I'm sure you were gonna pick this one. So we'll both hold this one up. I think this is definitely a must-have in everyone's collection. Yep. There you go.
It was on the top of my list, on the top of my stack.
This, you talk about fun.
Yeah,
it's right there. This is the must-have, and it's not too horribly expensive to obtain. No. And it's just so much fun. Like, we talk about the childhood fun of KISS. It's this. Yeah,
it surely is. And if you do get it, you want to make sure that does this the one? No, it's not one that has. This don't have a poster in it, does it?
Mine smells like a Playboy. What does yours smell like?
Mine smells like it's been. Mine smells like it's been in a like a salon or something. It smells like an old magazine, but not quite like a musty like a a sex-filled Playboy magazine.
Yeah, mine has some must to it.
But yeah, these are not really hard to find, and you should actually be able to find one in good condition. I mean, mine, I think I probably didn't pay maybe not more than 45 or 50 for this, and it is like it's clean. I mean, and everything inside of it is just great. I love this book. I wish they would have put a little bit more. They get into a lot of this type of stuff, which is kind of cool, but I wish that they did a little more. Yeah.
And that's super cool merch form inside too.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. The merch, and it's a lot of Alive 2 merch, a lot of solo album merch. Yeah, it's got it's funny that they've got the Kiss album. They call them the Kiss album posters, and the radio, and that's the page you were just showing. Your transistor radio that you could get for $9.50.
I'd seen on I want to say the US Kiss Vinyl page. He was talking about the solo albums and the fact that the solo albums. Sorry, I'm derailing a bit. Yeah, he was talking about that the solo albums, the promo record for that is called the Kiss albums, and so his argument was they probably were never supposed to be called the solo albums. They were always supposed to be called the Kiss albums.
Kiss albums,
and so that makes sense that it says Kiss album.
You see a lot of the times in some of that early promotional material, it says the Kiss albums. Mm-hmm. And I think when I was a kid, and I still call them the Kiss albums, I will say, a lot of times I'll say the solo or solos or whatever, but I just remember that. I remember that early ingraining of the Kiss albums.
And see, like me coming in 88, like, they're the solo albums to me, like, because oh, do you have these? What are those? Those are their solo albums, and so like it was just always solo albums. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
especially since you were a fan, then like it would be Kiss albums for you. That's cool.
I remember when the solo albums, the Kiss albums, I remember when they came out. I remember going down to J. Joe's and getting them and being in the line and getting the little baggie and picking up some posters. And I remember I had an Ace shirt and a Peter shirt. Ace and Peter were always my favorites and my sister's favorite. And I got the poster that had the 4 faces on it. It was a good day. All right. I'm going to show my number 5. I would think that it would be possible that this would be on your list, but I'm not sure. So if it is, you can let me know and hold it up. And if you feel like adding another one or whatever, but this is one that I had when I was little, and whenever I started collecting Kiss magazines again, this was one of the ones that I definitely went for, and that is this.
Yep. I know. They're in my stack to not hold up because I knew you were going to hold these up. I actually learned about this magazine from you. You had purchased this, and I was like, "Holy crap! There's a calendar inside." Yeah. And I was like, "I have to get that."
Yeah. This is one that is. It's not too hard to find. And you're just, whatever different kind of quality that you want. But
hey, let me see that back cover. Can I see that back cover again?
Yeah.
Because, oh, dang. Okay. Because my back cover is missing.
Your back cover is missing?
Yeah. I got this of Peter. See?
Okay. So the back cover looks like that. And the inside back cover looks like that. Just basically cool. Advertising more grooves type stuff.
Because see, I wanted the calendar so bad. This version was super cheap, but it had the calendar. So I just went with this.
Yeah. And this is
I love that calendar.
this calendar is so awesome. I keep meaning
That
to pull this out and like frame it and just be like, what day was this in 1970, 78, 79?
I do that all the time. I always think like there is some kid that had to go to school the very first day of school in 1979, and he looked at that calendar and he was dreading that day.
Yeah. So today in 1979 would have been a Sunday.
It's crazy.
2 days off. And yeah. And this smells like, let's see, because we got to, since you did it with the first one.
Smell your magazines, kids.
This one has a must smell to it. This one, oh yeah, it's been stored in a box in the basement. Smell to it. But yeah, this has let me show you the picture. This has so many iconic pictures in it. Like that one right there. And that's one of my favorite Ace pictures. And I will show you, and you know this already, but I will show you hands down my favorite Gene picture is that one.
Oh, yeah.
That is so, just all that blood. I remember just staring at this picture, just all that blood. I remember thinking, man, that looks an awful lot like ketchup. How does he keep all that ketchup in his mouth? Because in that particular picture, that's just what it looks like. But Grooves, I remember this. I remember snagging this off of the magazine rack at Little General Store above my house. And I remember taking it home and just staring at it for hours and hours and hours, looking at every little detail, and just trying to just take it all in. So yeah, so that's my number 5 right there.
Oh, I wasn't really going in order, so I apologize.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, no. Don't. I'm just saying that's my first one to show.
Oh, okay.
That's my first one to show. So you go next.
I would. This is another must-have, and I'm going to throw a little caveat in there as well. People magazine.
Yes, I don't have that. That is on my list.
And yeah, the beauty of the People magazines is like you can find Kiss People magazines that people don't realize, they're probably just selling them as a People magazine. Like April 10th People magazine, Gene on the cover. I mean, so you can, where this one may cost you a bit, this one you could probably find for $10,
That magazine would cost more if it was like a Circus or a 16 or whatever. Like if a Circus or a 16 just has the word Kiss on the cover, it costs more.
And I forgot to mention this, but like we were talking about the Phantom magazine, like you don't have to spend a lot of money to find Kiss stuff because you could find the TV guide, the Phantom TV guide from a non-Kiss seller. Yeah. That just thinks they have a more convenient TV guide, and you get
that's on my list
that's
too.
That's why I love the Peoples, because there's a plethora of People magazines with Kiss in them. So it's a lot of
People
fun.
magazine was the very first time that I saw Eric Carr in makeup. And then there's another one. I don't have it, but I can't remember. I think you have it in your collection. It's either a 16, I think it's a 16 magazine, and it's got Kiss on the cover. And Gene has this look on his face like he does on the cover of Dynasty, and Paul's pointing, and it's like Peter Criss leaves Kiss.
No, I don't have that one.
It's that group shot. I'll find a screenshot of it and send it to you. But I think it's a 16. I think it's a 16
Yeah.
magazine.
I only have 116,
Yeah.
and it's got Paul and Luke Duke on it.
I used to tear the 16s up. Yep. They're the guy that I go to in now the guy that I go to in Lenore that has the record store. He has that magazine, and I've been teeter-tottering on whether I should buy it or not. Is that a good one?
Oh, I totally would. It'll make you feel like, especially you, it'll make you feel like a kid again. Because I remember I was such a Dukes of Hazzard kid.
Mm-hmm.
I remember like my friend, my next door neighbor, and I would always get those 16 magazines. And so who knows, we probably held that at one point and didn't even dawn on me.
There was a point in time where Kiss, where your fandom, mine in particular, I really don't talk a lot about my fandom, like other than Kiss when I was a kid. But there was a point in time that my fandom revolved around Kiss, Star Wars, Dukes of Hazzard, Three's Company, and Hot Wheels cars. Like it was just that they were all happening at the same time. Kiss was a focal point, but I remember collecting the Three's Company trading cards, and some of them, the trading cards were stickers, like you could peel them off and they were sticker. And one was Suzanne Summers in like a bathing suit. And I stuck it to the back side of a photo because to the back of a picture frame, because I didn't want my mom seeing it. But I'd pull that picture frame off the wall and just sit and stare at that card size sticker of Suzanne Summers. I had hots for Chrissy real bad. I have a daughter named Chrissy.
That's funny.
Well, Christine, but yeah.
One of these magazines, it might be a Grooves. There's an ad for Star Wars jewelry, and I can't remember. That's crazy.
Let's see. I have two more Grooves. The reason why I showed that one particular Groove was because it was my favorite of all of them. And it seemed to have a lot more color pages in it. I have a couple other Grooves like this one right here.
Oh man,
it's okay. It's got some. Let me see if it's got something in here that'll spark your fancy. It's got a picture of Gene on the toilet. You'll love this font. Look at this.
That's cool. I love that stuff.
But it's got a lot of these type of pages, like this type of pages that yellow, just a regular, and that smells like it's been in a smoker's house.
That's a good smell. I love that. My Van Halen 1984 album smells like an ashtray.
Slightly musty, slightly smoky. Here's a very unique picture. I don't know if I've seen this one around too much online, but the Kiss orgy.
Oh, wow. Dang.
This is Grooves number 1. So it's older because that other one is Grooves number 7. This is Grooves number 1, and it does have a lot of the older pictures in it. It's got a really, really cool picture of Gene.
Yeah, this is the other Grooves I have.
Yeah. So
that's sweet.
Yeah, I have that one too.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's got John Travolta on the back, which I remember when Grease came out. I was a huge Grease fan. Grease is one of those, every time it comes on and it's just on the TV and I'm flipping through channels, I have to stop and watch, and there's Elvis and the Colonel. I was a huge Elvis fan even after Kiss died, I was a big Elvis fan. This is Groove's number 3, so it was also before the. I remember this. Picture, and I remember wanting to be one of those kids so bad because you saw that picture everywhere.
That's funny.
When I was a kid, he's got his Ronald McDonald shirt on. Back when McDonald's was cool. Yeah, these they just for some reason, even though I probably had them when I was, the reason why these probably don't strike me as nostalgia so much is because these probably came out before I was really a Kiss fan. Like this came out in 1978, so I would have.
But it's funny you say that because I think that's one thing when I bought these, when I first got into the Grooves magazines.
Yeah.
I had heard so much about how important they were to kids in the 70s and how big they were and how cool the magazines were. And then you get them and it's a lot of early photos.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of like 74 to 76 photos.
Yep.
So it struck me funny that it wasn't a lot of, 78 era stuff.
Right. I mean, like, especially like this one right here, they've got on their, what is that? Destroyer?
Destroyer. Yeah.
Yeah. And this one here, they've got on Destroyer stuff. But then you get to this one, and the cover of this one is the Love Gun stuff. So, that could have also been Rock and Roll Over, because Destroyer and Rock and Roll Over had the same costumes.
Yeah, I always love that picture of Paul because he's taking off that armband.
Yeah.
I think they used that one on the doll box.
Oh, yeah. All right. So, where we at? I think I'm just going to keep showing magazines till we get tired. I think that I don't have the cover to this, but I think that if you're a Kiss fan and you're like a Kiss fan, not only, and I think you have this, if you're a Kiss fan, not only from the early years into the later years, I think that you should have this. And I don't have the cover, but it's Metal Edge presents the official worldwide 1996-1997 tour magazine. Do you have the cover? Do you have one that has cover on it?
I do. I think, yeah. It's probably in my crate over there.
I just think
I love those magazines. Go ahead. We're going to say the same thing.
I think that the reason why I like this is because basically what they did was they took classic Kiss and kind of repackaged it for possible new fans. And so you find out there's a whole bunch of cool things where they go back through like time, like lineage, like timelines, and then they go through discography, and then they go through like individual pieces on the members. And so you learn a little more about each member, and then they throw back a lot of these nostalgia photos, that you've seen in magazines before. So it's almost like it's a nice little, nicely packaged up and pretty well done walk through time that touches on what was going on in 96 and 97, but definitely walked you back through like 73 to 79.
And see, just to piggyback on that, and I wasn't going to show these, they're just kind of sitting here, but so when I first got into Kiss, this was my first magazine, Might and Magic. And so, I mean, there's, Gene and Paul are in the corner in makeup, 76 photo there.
Mm-hmm.
So on that same tit that you were just talking about, like all these great throwback magazines started coming out. Hot in the Shade era magazines, but I'll get this camera right one of these days. Yes, like
Yep.
these magazines were so much fun.
Yep. They
So
were.
much fun because it was the era of Rip and Metal Edge, and so we were into getting these magazines anyway. And then you just got these great Kiss magazines with all this cool makeup stuff in it. And I mean, our buying habits probably paved the way for the reunion back then, but
yeah,
it was just so cool. And I mean, of course, it was a lot to do with the Rise to It video, and they're kind of embracing their history, and the set list of Hot in the Shade tour was an old set list. But that's so funny you held up that, because sometimes I think back to like my Comfort magazine, and I just think of that yellow cover.
Yep.
Oh gosh, so much fun.
Yep. And I love both of these because this one is basically just like, it's a big, it's a lot of posters, pictures.
Yeah.
There's a huge wall sized poster in it. And then this one, yeah. See, yeah, mine is still attached with the staples in the magazine.
I hung this thing up in my room as a kid every Christmas.
Yeah. See, there's mine, and it's still attached.
There you go.
So,
when you resell it, you can ask for more money.
And then whenever you pull it out, you got Gene, a little centerfold of Gene there. And I love how, probably one of my second most favorite stages to Alive 2, the Love Gun Alive 2 stage. I love the Asylum stage. And you go through, and then on the very other page, it's a picture from a 77, 78 photo shoot. And then on the page next to it is Dynasty. I mean, so it was just like, it was nostalgia galore. And then in the other book here, I love this because it's another history lesson. They walk you through the videos, and you have that famous shot from, that you see in the Donruss cards. I look back and I see that, and I go back to 7-year-old Brant sitting outside the Little General trading Donruss cards that we had just bought. And then, you flip to the back, and you've got the VHS tapes, and you just literally flip one page and look where you're at. You're in Phantom Land. So it's just like, these things were just so awesome, just flipping through them, because you never knew. They jumped all over the place. But they went through the videos, but then when it got to the back, it's like, okay, we're going to show you some nostalgia. We're going to show you plus the making of Kiss Meets the Phantom, and a brand new exclusive interview with Gene and Eric. I love that. Those types of magazines that came out during that time. Speaking of,
that's funny. Extreme Close Up hadn't come out yet, but I guess Exposed had. So yeah.
It was. Yes, it was just a little prior to Extreme Close Up. Man, I remember wearing Animalized, Live and Uncensored, and Kiss Exposed. I remember wearing those VHS tapes out. They were constant. Like during the summer, I remember there was a summer that those tapes were just constantly played, and I cycled them out with, if I wasn't playing Animalized, Kiss Exposed, Live Uncensored, or Kiss Exposed, I was playing Die Hard on VHS. Wore my Die Hard VHS out too. Speaking of centerfolds, I think that it's not really a requirement, but if you don't have it, you should get one of these. Because, if we're talking about the nostalgia and what was the 90s, the reunion tour now, which is now nostalgia, because it was, over 20 years ago at this point. Kiss in Playboy. I'm not going to go into this for, don't want the video getting taken down reasons, but this is one I picked up just because I was just like, you know what? I saw it. There's some other Kiss Playboys I have got in my where Kiss is in Playboys. You've showed some of them, and I've got them still in my saved for later. Isn't there one with Cindy Crawford on the cover? She's got her arms crossed. I can't remember who that model is, but she's on the cover, kind of like this.
I don't know about that one. There's a 77 one that's a holiday issue.
Yeah,
that has the.
She's got the Santa. She's got the Santa hat on.
Hold on, I'll go grab it real quick. I'll be right back. One second. This is gonna be funny because you mentioned centerfold. We're really going off subject here, but it's kind of fun. You mentioned centerfold, and this is crazy, but gosh dang, what even month is this? July 1974, After Dark. It's a gay men magazine.
Yep.
After Dark. July 74, probably quite possibly the first ever centerfold of Kiss. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
that's
July
amazing.
74. And again, somebody's probably selling this and doesn't even know it's a Kiss magazine. But speaking of the Playboys, you're right. So it would have been the 77 holiday issue. It's got a Kiss article in it. And then I have a 77 Gallery magazine. It has a Gene interview in it. Like a sex and rock and roll.
Yeah.
And that's We've Got Bush magazine. So.
Oh, I love it. I love it. There's one. I've got it in my cart. And I never added it. I haven't purchased it yet. I'm trying to find it real quick under under stuff that I'm watching. But it's been in my cart like forever that I've never. It's a Playboy from October 1998. It's Cindy Crawford is on the cover, and I have that in my cart for a reason. Like, I don't just go normally just buy Playboys. It would be it wouldn't be for Cindy Crawford. It would be for, because I've got that one that you just shown from 1977.
That would have been Psycho Circus, right?
Yep.
The Cindy Crawford one.
And yep. And then there's a January 2002 Playboy that has Joni Laurer, the female lady wrestler, and it's got a Gene Simmons article in it. That's a Playboy that you can pick up.
Is she in like kind of like a Renaissance,
like a gladiator?
Type?
Yeah,
I have that one downstairs, but I actually didn't know Kiss was in it. I used to collect Playboy stuff,
yeah.
So I actually have it for
There's something in the listing. It says, because I think what I did a search one day and I just typed in Playboy Kiss and those came up. But yeah, just searching those. So you need to go downstairs and look later on and see. We talked about. Why don't you show a magazine? I've showed a few. Why don't you show something?
I would recommend. I would recommend these, and it doesn't have to be any specific magazine, but these are the Sonido Mexican Kiss magazines, and there's a lot of them, and they just are again that childhood era, and it's cool because it's a Mexican magazine, but I mean it's just all of that kind of. This almost looks like Kiss the Real Story, the way it's like done, and it's just like look at these posters.
Oh
like,
yeah,
you got Ace and Peter, or Ace and Paul, you got Eric and Peter. I mean,
yeah,
these are just I always kind of call it the Woolworths of Kiss. Like it's just that department store kind of 8-year-old kid with his parents running errands. And it's just, they're so much fun. And the fact that they're like a foreign pressing makes it even kind of more fun. And I know Knights and Saint Service posts those Sonito stuff all the time.
right.
He's got some like super rare ones, but yeah, if you can ever just grab one of these for, not too much, they're a fun magazine to get.
That kind of that magazine that you've got there, even though it's not, I had it and I don't have it anymore. I had it when I was a kid. I don't have it now. It's expensive. Every time I've ever seen it intact, it's expensive to come by. It reminds me of that Dynasty era Kiss the Posters book. That's just
That was going to be one of
entirely, right there. I had that when I was a kid. Those things they're people that have those online now on eBay. They know what they got.
Yeah, and it's so stupid because it's not worth that. But I mean, the posters are fun. But I mean, once you take the posters out, the posters are super cool. But once you take the posters out, there's really not much left in the magazine. But
right.
Yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah,
like that's a whole Dynasty merch form right there.
Yeah, and I mean the posters.
Dynasty ad on the back.
The posters are huge. Yeah, the Dynasty ads. I love a Dynasty ad almost as much. I love a Kiss album, the solo albums ad.
That's just beautiful. But yeah, that was going to be one of my must-haves. This was when I went down my Dynasty rabbit hole, I was like, I have to get that poster book because I had the Peter poster, but I didn't have the other one. So
yeah, I keep my eye on it. I'm sitting here just kind of scrolling down through eBay, just looking at Kiss magazines, and a lot of the ones that me and you have shown, you can pick up for anywhere between $20 to $40. The magazine that you just showed there's an auction up that starts at $20, but it is the magazine only, no posters. And
that would still be worth it because you can more people sell the posters than the magazine.
Yeah.
I actually had to buy the magazine in a lot.
And here's somebody got to buy it now for $20 for the Metal Madness, Kiss Might and Magic of Kiss, November 1989, with posters. That's a great magazine. Yeah. So you just showed that a few minutes ago. I've got one here. We kind of mentioned Rip a little bit ago. I think it's not necessarily a must-have, but if you're looking for something that just kind of era specific that has to do with Kiss, I think it was really cool. I think this is a really cool one to have.
Yes.
Yeah. This is a really cool one to have. It's got Gene and Paul on the cover.
That makes me smile. That was huge.
Yeah.
If you think about it, and I was just fresh in. I mean, I had been a fan for a little over a year, and that something like that happening, and it's so crazy they put a reverse star photo on the cover.
Yeah. And you get to the center, it's got a nice little article here, Gene breathing fire with that cape on, which is madness to me, and then a nice
oh gosh.
Yep.
I'm right back in my high school bedroom.
Yeah. That picture with the sunglasses. Yep.
Dang.
Let me see if this smells like a high school bedroom. Nope, smells like ink. Just say Ozzy ad on the back.
Yep.
Yep. So it's like Rip, Bon Jovi, Off the Road, plus Aerosmith, Slaughter, Europe, LA Guns, The Cult, and Bonham, Sebastian, Bad Boy Bach interview. So, yeah.
Is there an article in there, something about Mark Slaughter behind the pink guitar or something?
Yep. Page 78. Let's see. 6, 7.
Holy crap. I still remember that from high school. That is crazy.
Yeah.
That is absolutely crazy.
So, yeah, I love this. When I saw this on the stand, I was like, yeah, I got to grab that. I think
that was
I
a
paid
good score.
Dude, I paid $3 for this.
Dang.
$3. So sometimes you find people, they don't really know what they have. It don't really mean anything to them. So it's a Kiss magazine.
And it's crazy. That's a vintage magazine now.
Yeah. Let's see. What you got?
I would say this is a must-have because no one talks about this magazine. And it is the Exposed official magazine.
Yep.
No, like you always hear people talk about, kid magazine must-haves, and no one ever mentions the Exposed magazine. This is such a time capsule of that era, and it's got great photos in it. It's got horrible interviews. I believe in the interview, Paul says that really is his house, and somebody says, the interviewer says that, well, you must have rented it, and he's like, no, I really lived there. Like, just the kind of stuff we love, where you read this stuff and you're like, oh, the band really does live together. They all live in the same house.
Yeah, they live together, and they have different bedrooms, and Gene's bedroom is a dungeon where he tortures people.
But I mean, like, just photos I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
Like, just super fun. And let's see. Oh, dang. I don't think I have it in here. I don't. The poster that came in this was absolutely beautiful. But I don't have it with, I don't know where it's at. It must be possibly in a frame. I don't know. But yeah.
With you, it's probably in a
must have.
Yeah, I'm going to have to definitely, like I said, I'm going to be looking back on this video and I'm going to be taking notes. All right, I got one for you, Rick. I went through my collection. I've got a bunch of circus magazines, not from when I collected when I was a kid, but I kind of went back and redid them. The one that you showed with Paul and Luke Duke or Luke Duke, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Wonpat, is that his name? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He used to have that one. I don't know if he still does, but this is one that I bought from that place where I go and get a lot of my magazines from. And he's always buying collections, and a lot of times collections have magazines. And I was looking through, and I was like, I thought about, when I saw this, I thought about you, and I thought about the other fans who are like us that are, if you're, and I don't know if you know about this magazine, I don't think I've ever seen you show it, but if you are a Kiss fan and you are a Kiss fan in the Phantom subcategory, Phantom Maniac subcategory, and you want anything and all things Phantom, even if it's just little tidbits, this would be one for you. This is a circus magazine. This is issue 189 from August 31st, 1978. And it says Paul Stanley poster. But if you lean into that little corner there, it says Kiss Movie Madness Takes Two by Storm. And when you flip in it, there's a 2-page feature here that says Kiss Phantom feature. And it says under there, their first full-length film kicks off NBC's fall TV movie season. So
That's
it's got,
awesome.
got a little article there about Phantom. And then you flip, and it's got a Paul Stanley centerfold poster
Oh, wow.
in it. So this is not I don't see this often come up, but when I do see it, it's usually not very expensive.
Yeah, I've never seen that cover before.
And I paid from that place I get magazines, I paid $10 for it. So
Dang.
but that's a good one to have if you are looking for anything Phantom. And Rick, if you want me to, I can scan that for you. That way you can see it and look at it and read it better if you want me to, whichever.
Heck yeah.
All right. I'm getting kind of slim over here because I don't have as many magazines as you do. So, but I have a couple more.
Well, I have like two more.
Okay. I'll match you for whatever you have. Oh, dude, yes.
Best of Kiss is a definite must-have.
Yeah, I don't have it, but
it's kind of got that grooves feel to it.
Totally.
Super huge Empire State Building poster inside.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
So,
wow, and you still got it in there.
Black. It looks like a black and white on the back.
On the back, yeah.
And then that's a cool centerfold.
Oh, yeah.
It's like the best of Kiss.
Yeah. I love when they had a poster to pull out and then there was still a centerfold after that. Yeah, I'm definitely.
Speaking of amazing Gene pictures, the spiderweb session.
Yes.
And I think you have said you love that photo too.
Yes.
Where he's getting ready to breathe fire.
He's got it up. And it's just those moments before. I love that.
Mm.
What year is that from?
I want to say it's 79.
Okay. It looks like a 79 era. 78, 79, they were on so many magazines.
Yep, July 79.
July 79? Okay.
Yeah, because I think I got it because I was going down my Dynasty rabbit hole. I wanted to get like every thing a kid who loved Dynasty would have gotten, and so I was trying to go for that whole year, like what they would have had. This is probably my all-time favorite magazine, and I don't even know why. I think because it is so childlike. It's just one of those teen superstars, but it's Kiss Mania, obviously 79. And it's just so it's got the jewelry ad inside. It has the Mylar poster ad. It has the radio and the jacket ad.
Yeah.
I
remember that. I remember that back cover of Paul with that point.
Yeah, like $1.25 in December of 79. And just imagining a kid at home with this. And I don't know, even Kiss Mania just sounds so, targeted towards an elementary school kid. And I love that marketing. I love that. Because, we all had magazines when we were a kid that just kind of encompassed your life, and you didn't really understand, other people in the world had it. You thought like you were the only one that had it. And so it's that kind of stuff I love. And it's those, I think any of those TV superstar magazines, much like the 16s, they're just so cheesy and so fun. 99 very personal facts and fantasies of Kiss. That's just That's so cheesy but fun. And the thing with magazines, I think that is so good, is it's never ending. There are so many magazines. Like you could devote your entire collection to magazines.
Oh yeah, you could.
And
especially if you were going to collect, if it had anything Kiss in it, even if it was just a poster or a snippet of a page or a half a page or whatever, you could, there's so much you could. And then if you decided that you wanted to include TV guides or other things like that, there's so much you could add.
And I, like you said, like just the stuff you save in your cart. I think there's a TV guide, obviously from '76. I think Ponch and John are on the cover, and it's a drawing, but it's the Paul Lynde. That issue would have the Paul Lynde special ad in it. Yeah. So there's another but the thing that sucks about TV guides is there are people that think TV guides are gold. Yeah. So there's some people that price the TV guides at $50 an issue, and it's like, no, come on.
I agree. I've got two left. One is kind of like, well, my nostalgia one, my last one was going to be my nostalgia one. My nostalgia one, I would say, if we didn't talk about them already, would honestly be either the Grooves number 7 or the Phantom, because those two magazines, whenever I went back into collecting magazines, I'm like, okay, I'm going to collect stuff that was in my collection, and I'm going to collect other Kiss magazines along the way that I might not have had. Those were the two that I laser pointed and went after. It was those two. These last two that I've got, I think this one, although it is not direct, and I don't know if you had this one to show, I know sometimes me and you, we it's like brothers from another mother. We think the same thing or say the same thing or was going to say the same thing. I think if you're a Kiss fan, even though this isn't necessarily a Kiss magazine, I think if you're a Kiss fan, you should have this in your collection. And it is the Big Bird.
Yep. Okay. I knew. I was like, the minute you said not a Kiss magazine, I was like, he's going Sports Illustrated.
Yeah, because if you don't know, we'll tell you why. This is where your Kiss blood ended up. Your Kiss blood didn't end up in Marvel Comics Super Special. Your Kiss blood ended up in the Big Bird episode, or in the Big Bird magazine, Sports Illustrated. So, so if you want things Kiss that isn't necessarily Kiss, you should have this. That Marlboro Red there. Man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So that's one that I think,
and that's a must-have to complete your comic book collection too. I feel.
Yeah. Does it have a comic ad in it?
No, but.
Oh, but because of the blood, because of the blood.
Yeah, I feel like if you have that first comic book, you have to have the Sports Illustrated as well.
Yeah.
And like you said, you can pick that up for cheap because there's tons of sports dealers that have no clue.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
I always wondered, do Disney collectors seek out the Gene Simmons solo record? I've always wondered that.
That'd be an interesting question. That'd be interesting.
They're probably like, no.
No, why would we do that?
Gross.
My last magazine that I'd say that was my second runner-up, Sentimental, and it's not really technically a magazine, but it is a paper thing, and we've talked about things and showed things that aren't necessarily magazines, so why not show this one? And you kind of alluded to this, and this kind of leadways into that with Sports Illustrated, if you know what I'm talking about. But the reason why this is such a big magazine for me that I actually went after God, it smells amazing too. I can smell it from here without even putting it to my nose. The reason why I went after this one is for the 100% double punch of nostalgia. But you've got number 2, but you've got the milestone on the back. And then on the inside, you've got my covers coming off. So it doesn't have to be mint, kids. Like Rick said, you've got the merch form. And since the cover is off, I'm just going to do this. And then you've got the little article. It's like you've got a magazine at the back of your comic book. You've got a little mini magazine. And this right here, when I see that, let me ask you this. You see this picture right here. Does color forms pop into your head?
Yeah, I always think of that and the bot bag that was never released that was on the Kiss My Ass video.
Yeah. I see that right there, and I just don't know why. It's just, I guess, the form, the poses or so, and the art and the drawing style. It just reminds me of the color forms set so much. But so if you and you can, and honestly, you can pick this up a lot cheaper than you can the first one. A lot of people, like, they're bound and determined to have that first one. And honestly, if you go for less than mint, because even though the cover is detached on this one, look how great condition that is still in, in my opinion. But honestly, I bought this. The comic is great, but I bought this for that right there, because that right there takes me right back to little 9-year-old Brant, September 1978, waiting outside in the cold to get inside and get these albums. So this is kind of like my second nostalgic, even more than the first one. It's my second, my nostalgia behind. You triggered my memory. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. I'm sure this is going to take you right back to childhood too. For years, I'd never had this. And again, you can find this super cheap. The poster from the second comic. Yeah. That thing is just, you talk childhood. That is beautiful. This is like, I would say this is in my top 5 of favorite posters of all time, but that is just so much fun. Cause I don't know. I just think Phantom of the Park immediately. Yep. Yeah. It's that style of that artwork too is just that style of artwork, even though it's the cups are not as detailed, it kind of makes me think of the images and the artwork that's on the Magic Market cups. Oh, yeah. Those Magic Market cups. I remember those when I was a kid, man. I threw so many of those away when I was a kid because you don't think to save this stuff, It's like you went down to Magic Market, you got you a Kiss cup, and, what do you do with any other cup that you get from wherever? It ends up in the floorboard of the car or in the trash can or whatever. So that's why a lot of that stuff is worth so much now, that even though it was made by the hundreds of thousands and in some cases in the millions, people didn't think to save them. You shared your sentiment already? Yeah, it was the Teen Mania one. Oh, yeah, that one was your sentimental. Okay. Yeah, the Teen Mania. Yeah. Do you have any runners-up? Yeah. Probably this would be my last sentimental. Just a Hot in the Shade era magazine, kind of a tour magazine. Yeah. Has a pretty cool poster inside. Like kind of an odd poster too, if you think about it. Cool Paul poster. Oh yeah. That's cool. Era, but then on the back you get the Elder. An Elder poster. That's cool. Yeah. That's very unique. Mm-hmm. So I love Ace's costume. I love Ace's Elder costume. The other ones I don't really care for so much, but Ace's Elder costume, man, he understood the assignment. I love it.
Yeah, like when you were talking about the reunion era tour magazine,
Yeah.
those tour magazines were so much fun.
Mm-hmm.
Any era,
Oh yeah.
they're just super fun.
Yep.
I tell you, magazines. I don't dive down magazines as much as I used to, but you can get lost in those.
You can't beat a magazine, man. You pick it up, you just kind of flip through it, and you can deep dive into it, or you can just flip through it if you want to.
And for me, like you mentioned with your comic book, like they don't have to be mint either. I mean,
No.
Sometimes if they're drawing in, or a kid's done the crossword puzzle, to me that's more fun.
Yeah. The last thing that I want to show is I kind of pulled, so as I was looking through my collection, I kind of pulled some honorable mentions. I mean, I don't think that these are must-haves, but I just think that it's cool that, I don't know if you remember, but you probably do. About 2 years ago, when Kiss was right around that 50-year mark of being a band, back in 2023, we were all excited, and we talked about this in our chats too. It's like, oh, have you seen the new magazine at Walmart? Oh, have you seen the new magazine at Barnes and Noble? And we were running to Walmart, running to Barnes and Noble, and I was taking pictures of them and showing it. Here, I've got it, and I had my hand on it. These three right here came out during that time, and honestly, they're all good in their own ways, and you can probably still pick these up online. But I would highly recommend this book here, the Kiss. This is the Ultimate Guide to Kiss: 50 Years of Hits. This is a really good book and a really good magazine. The Life Kiss. This is a really good magazine.
Yeah, I missed that one.
I thought that was really good, and I love this one too. This one is a 360 media special: 50 Years of Rock's Greatest.
Yeah.
This is really good. I love the picture on the back with just the S, which is kind of unique. So I think those are they're more of the newer magazines that I thought were actually pretty decent. I think we were also excited just to get new stuff that you could go to a store and buy. You didn't have to go on Kiss Online to get it. And that was that's always part of the hunt, because you start texting everyone, hey, it's at Walmart. You end up going to 5 Walmarts to try to find it. Yeah. Or
whenever
it's on
the end cap up front.
So, man, who would have thought that we'd have talked about Kiss magazines for about an hour and 40 minutes?
It's too much fun. I mean, there's just so, like you said, we covered classic Phantom era magazines through the end of the road. That's just how cool it is. Whatever your collecting niche is, you can find something.
Yep. Oh yeah. And whatever your budget is, you can find something. And
yeah.
I really wish, I wish a lot for you and some of the younger fans like Xander. And I really wish, even though you're not much younger than me, I think you're 5 years younger than me. You still didn't come in as early with Kiss as you could have, and you missed a lot. And I really just truly wish that you guys could have experienced what it was like not knowing what Kiss looked like, not knowing when the next time they was going to be on TV, until you saw a commercial about it or read about it in your grandma's TV guide, or not knowing what the next magazine was going to come out. You just had to go. You had to go to the convenience store and check on the times that you knew when magazines usually came out, or going by the store to buy a drink, so you got a Kiss cup, or going to the store to buy the Donruss cards and
I always
it's
kind of think of that myself with Star Wars, because I'm like, I loved Darth Vader so much. I'm like, I know why kids love Gene, because it's that scary thing, and you're just fascinated by it.
Yeah. I just remember that the greatest mystery about Kiss was that you didn't know what they looked like. I remember I think it was a 2020 special where they're having
their backs.
They're having an interview and they're sitting there eating, and it's just showing their backs while they're talking, and just all that nostalgia and mystique. I mean, it wasn't nostalgia back then; it was mystique.
And that 2020 interview, speaking of childhood stuff, that's just genius marketing, because that is perfect to make you, 8-year-old Brant, be like, holy crap, turn around, like, that's beautiful.
Yeah. Or I always used to love when you'd see the pictures in the magazines where Gene's holding the Kiss Alive 2 up and you just see the top of his eyes, or they've got their hands over their face, or Ace is peeking through the cards and all you see is his eyeball, and you're like, dude. It's funny, and magazines, like listening to the music and listening to the albums and stuff like that can help put you in that place, and watching videos and stuff that you can watch on YouTube or watching your VHS tapes, that can help put you in that place. But magazines, man, if you've got the right magazine, it can really take you back. It's like a time machine.
Oh yeah, very much so.
It really is. All right, man. Well, we talked long enough to kill you headphones. I'm glad we got the chance to talk. I'm glad we got the chance to do this. I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I mean, that was a lot of fun.
I love talking shop. I love when we can just sit down and talk and not try to pick an album apart or try to do all this other stuff, to just sit down and just chat the way two Kiss fans would. If you run into a Kiss fan, you just, hey man, what's your favorite magazine? What's your favorite, and just talk about the music without really critiquing the music. Just talk about, like when you talk about Dynasty,
Yeah, we covered from the early days to the end of the road, and even got a gay magazine in there.
Yeah. I mean, I'd say that's a good evening.
That's great.
We threw in a couple Playboys. I mean, shoot. We went
from the magazine rack to the back room.
Yeah. But Rick, I appreciate you hanging out with me.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Looking forward to sometime again in the future.
Absolutely.
And appreciate all of you hanging out with us. Hope you enjoyed the video. And if you didn't, well, that's okay. If you did enjoy, please put down in the comments and what your favorite Kiss magazine is.
Absolutely.
What you feel is sentimental, or what you feel is a required Kiss magazine. And I will be back in the future. And I think my next video after this one, I think me and Carla are going to be going to do volume 2 of what we feel like are Kiss greatest hits off of all the albums from 80 to 89. And that's a lot of dang albums.
That's nice.
To pull 20 songs out of. So we're gonna have a lot of fun doing that, and that will be the next video I'll be back with after this one. Rick, thank you again.
Thank you.
And that's all for this one. We'll see you in the next one.